All right, see if we're working here. We are allegedly live. Hello, everyone. We're doing this again. I used to do lives, or not used to. I did lives for a little bit, a few weeks probably back in the day, and I just stopped for a few reasons, but not because I wasn't enjoying it. I was, and yeah, it's something I want to try doing again. I want to log on if I can once a week and just talk about things that may be beneficial, maybe interesting to anybody who lives in Denver, is going to consider living in Denver, that sort of thing. So, um, yeah, we'll see how this goes. I want to make sure that it's working properly. So I'm going to check on that real quick. But I got a different setup than I used to. This makes me happy. I'm still working on getting um, everything together, getting some more lights and stuff like that. But this is the home studio that many of you will recognize if you've watched this channel before. It's a slightly different layout, but it is where we're used to being, and hopefully I can do this on a fairly regular basis. So today I want to talk about skiing, and I want to talk about, you saw it on the title, and I've mentioned this before, I think on this channel and on social media. There is a ski resort for sale for $7 million in the mountains, obviously. But we're going to take a look at that, and we are going to look at some other stuff about the upcoming ski season and some things Vail Resorts is doing. And it is finally, well, not actually, it was beautiful today, but it's starting to get cooler here in Denver, and it is going to be, winter will be here before we know it. So just want to talk about some of that stuff. And I'll probably say this a few times throughout this whole thing, but if I don't just want to sit here and ramble for 30-40 minutes or whatever it is. So if anybody does have questions, please do pop them in the chat. And it could be questions about what we're talking about, or not, just questions about anything, anything real estate related, anything Denver related, any of the videos I've done in the past, all that stuff. If you hear residual noise, that's my son watching The Jungle Book. So, enjoy that. But I haven't been on StreamYard for a while, but let's go ahead and share the screen here. So I want to show you what I'm talking about. So started with this 9 News article. At least that's where I saw it first. And very simple. You can buy an abandoned Colorado ski resort for $7 million. So this operated from the 1930s through the 1980s. Actually, 1986 was the year it shut down. Great year. It was the year I was born. So yeah, we'll get deeper into it, but it's 373 acres, Clear Creek County. It's up by St. Mary's Glacier. It actually was called St. Mary's Glacier Ski Area. Hasn't operated since the 80s, so it's not really a ski area at this point, but it does still have, you'll see, it does still have a lot of the, here, let me make this bigger too, like that. It does still have a lot of the, there's lifts, there's still runs cut out in the trees. What it sounds like, it's about 10,000 feet to 12,000 feet of elevation, of altitude. And what's interesting is it's 20 miles west of the Denver metro. That is not very far. It's like the closest you can get to right now is, I guess, Echo Mountain. I snowboard. I've never ridden Echo Mountain. If anyone has, let me know. But I have no idea what it's like. It's not, from my knowledge, what you think of when you think of Colorado skiing. It's small. It's mostly park, it sounds like. But to be, Eldora is still probably an hour from Denver, but it's much closer to Boulder. But to be 20 miles west of the Denver metro, I'm guessing that means 20 miles west of Golden. That's pretty interesting. And $7 million is a lot of money, but there's $7 million homes in Denver, in the Denver area, and it's not uncommon to see that type of thing. And so this is interesting to have almost 400 acres for sale. It's already got the lifts on it. Lifts aren't going to work. It's probably not a benefit. Obviously, that's probably more of a detriment to have to take those off. It's kind of cool that they're still there. And it sounds like there's some buildings still on the premises too. Who knows if any of those are salvageable, but the place actually has its own website. So So slopes at stmarysglacier.com. And if you go to the main page, they have this really cool video. I'm a fan. I don't know why it looks like that. This probably has something to do with my browser. But you can watch the video if you want. And the history is my favorite part. So they've got all these old pictures and even a trail map here from when the resort was operational. They talk about it down here basically. So they say currently Echo Mountain and Loveland are the only nearby resorts offering ski and snowboarders more accessible recreation off I-70, basically before the tunnel, before Summit County, then to Eagle County when everything gets kind of crazy. If you skied in Colorado before, that's just a different deal. I love it. I love some of those resorts. It gets very crowded, whatever. We talk about crowds all the time. We don't need to go into that, but that's more of a trek, more of a destination. If you can have more accessible skiing from Denver, where it's just an easier day trip, I think that'd be a plus. I'm hoping somebody buys this and revives it. But they talk about on here, it doesn't have to be a ski area. It could be someone's ranch. I mean, it could be whatever you want, any other sort of private retreat center, destination, anything like that. It'd be sweet to have another ski resort though. Cause they talk about too, it's, the history here, and it sort of conjures Echo Mountain and Ski Cooper vibes, is what it was back in the day. I've never ridden Ski Cooper either. I've wanted to and never made it happen. And so, it's obviously going to be something small, way different from any of the Vail resorts, but I find it very intriguing. And actually, there is an MLS listing here. So here it is, 8821 Fall River Road, Idaho Springs. So first of all, the actual location where this bad boy is. And so you see there's St. Mary's Alice up here. So here's Idaho Springs. So if you're coming from Denver, you're basically going 70 west through Evergreen, like everybody is familiar with, Idaho Springs, and it's just north of Empire. So really, Winter Park is not that far away, but it's a different way to access it. You're going over Berthoud Pass, obviously, to get to Winter Park. To get up here to this St. Mary's area is you're taking 275 here off the freeway. So that's where it is, and I could map it. So what it takes to get to Denver, but pretty interesting. It would be significantly closer than most other things. And they got some photos up here, which we can kind of page through. It's mostly just beautiful photos of, there's some lakes down there, beautiful photos of mountains, which I don't hate looking at regardless. But yeah, what's cool is they say they still have the runs, and you can kind of see them down here, still cut through the trees. Obviously, someone's going to have to do a lot. If you look at snowmaking, if they want to do that, that's a whole undertaking. I mean, it's a huge project, but very cool. And there's the parking lot down there, which is currently used. You see porta potties down there, currently used for hikers and that sort of thing. I've personally never hiked it. It's right off the road there. And this gives you an idea of sort of where the property lines are for your ski resort. So it's 373 acres and listed for $7 million. Only been on the MLS for 35 days. So it's still available, friends. And if there's anything else interesting, it says one outbuilding, which is a barn. I've heard there's a few. It said that in the 9 News article, but a very unique property. Asking 350 earnest. So going to have that liquid at least if you want to make an offer. And I am all about it. I think that I don't have the 7 million liquid, but hopefully somebody buys it. 7 million is obviously a large sum of money, but I'm surprised that it is not more. I guess I don't know why. I'm expecting it to be more. I haven't comped out land in this area, but it's really just a lot of acreage. And probably part of the thing is if it was almost 400 acres of buildable land, it may very well be quite a bit more expensive. But it's not. It is very, steep grade, which is good for a ski area, but not great for a lot of other things. So I wonder if that's factoring in. I wonder what's been going on with the land in the interim and how long they have been have just been sitting on it. If they own it outright, I'm guessing they do. Quite interesting. Like I said, if anyone has any questions or comments or anything, just pop them in the chat. Don't be shy. That's initially why I started doing these things. And the idea is that it'll happen more and more as we keep doing it. So going off that, going into ski season with actual currently operational ski resorts. So this was interesting. This came out in Denver Business Journal that Vail Resort sees potential for record profits this ski season as Epic Pass sales pile up. And from what I had read, they were actually down the last few years. Hi, Dats. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. They're actually down a few years for the last few years. So for them to be near record, so they're projecting between 316 million, 394 million this fiscal year, which starts August 1. Makes sense for them, for their fiscal year to start then. And so the earnings have only topped the low end, so 316 million, twice before, and the high end would be a record annual profit for the company, which is interesting to me. So it says they had an unexpectedly weak start to this fiscal year because that was the Australian ski season, which wasn't great. Vail Resorts, by the way, is everywhere. Obviously, we're talking about Australia. It's a global company. If you don't know, I mean, Minnesota, Japan, in Switzerland. I mean, they're all over the place. And so sounds like their beginning of the year wasn't great, but poor skiing weather in Australia combined with decline in summer mountain resort travel in North America, which fell below 2019 levels. Interesting. So I would assume 2020, 2021, maybe even parts of 2022 were very good for summer mountain travel because that was kind of the COVID range and everyone was getting out and doing that sort of thing. But it sounds like it fell off quite a bit. But the company is eager to see the start of North American ski season based on Epic Pass activity. People buying the Epic Passes. And you have a prepared comment from the CEO, Kristin Lynch, talking about a conference call. So maybe not prepared, but on a conference call. Driver of our growth right now is primarily the loyalty of our pass holders. We're seeing strong renewals across all different levels of our passes versus prior years. So that would lead us to believe that, yes, indeed, Vail Resorts Epic Passes were down a bit the last few years. Icon Pass still relatively new. What's that been around? 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. If you live in the area, if you're a skier or a snowboarder, you've had the conversation with your friends, with people at your work. Did you get the Icon Pass or the Epic Pass? It's sort of divided into two camps. Some people get both of them. Those people are wild. I love it. That's an investment in your ski season. I've never got the Icon. I've always got the Epic Pass. For me, not because I love Vail Resorts or they're I don't dislike them, but they do get very crowded. But those are the mountains I know. So for me, I typically like to ride a lot. Beaver Creek's my favorite one. Vail on a powder day is really hard to beat. It says Vail is attracting new pass buyers too. Preseason pass sales are up across all geographical areas in different pass types. So that's interesting to me. The next article on this I saw that I wanted to bring in here too is that the prices of the Epic Pass are going up. That it's not surprising that it coincides. This article is actually back from March of this year, but this talks about how inflation pinching people's pocketbooks, but the Epic Pass prices are going up. Now, we usually see a little uptick in Epic Pass prices every year, but this is a little bit more. It says 8% next winter. That now this winter, all the Epic Pass, including the Epic Local, are going to go up about 8%, slightly higher than the 7.4% year over year price hike last season. So really not a big difference, like slightly higher, but that seems like a pretty typical hike that they do. But I want to get into a little bit about the daily passes too, because there's some stuff going on there that I don't know if I haven't been paying attention, but I feel like the day passes, the lift tickets, if you buy at a window, were actually cheaper the last couple of years. Not the case anymore. We will get into that here in a little bit. But so, and it talks about Icon Pass too. They've become an increasingly important driver of on-mountain traffic. The passes have for all these mountains. Vail Resorts expects 2.3 million skiers and snowboarders this season using one of these advanced purchase passes. So some sort of Epic pass. So basically, full Epic pass is going to be $909 for this season, $68 more than the previous season. So that actually does seem like a decent hike. Epic Local, which I know a lot of people get, that's the one I usually get, $676 for this season. So there's a little bit of a jump. Oh yeah, okay. So here, Vail dropped prices of passes by 20% after COVID-19, the shortened ski season, a factor blamed for crowded conditions in several of the company's resorts. Remember that when finally they opened up the lifts and everything again, and it was just super crowded because you had to like reserve time and everything wasn't open, and it was like everything with COVID, like things just didn't go how they usually go, and a lot of people got ornery, but that's what people do. But they dropped by 20%. Interesting. So they're making that up now with these hikes. So, but okay, I wanted to go and check this out because here's the thing. I'm on Vail's website. This is actually the Vail Mountain, not Vail Resorts. Somebody told me the other day, they said, hey, I heard that like a single lift ticket this year is going to cost $300. And I was like, no way. I'm like, Peak at Vail or Beaver Creek, which are the most expensive ones I know of outside of Aspen, are like $200 usually. This is the current pricing. So $299 for a one-day lift ticket. That's if you just go to the window and buy a lift ticket at Vail. It's $300 this year. Now, that's peak window price, so it'll fluctuate, but that's the peak. I find typically when they name peak prices, they tend to use peak prices, but $299. What's interesting though to me is this Epic one day pass. So from what I can tell, I've never done the Epic one day, but it's basically the same thing, but you buy it in advance and it's non-refundable. So it says unrestricted. There are no blackout dates. So it's not like the Epic local pass where there are blackout dates and you can't go to certain ski areas, Vail, Beaver Creek, the marquee ones during those dates. It says there's no blackout dates. But it's insanely cheaper. The idea, I think, being is that it's non-refundable right here. So the idea being a lot of people are going to buy these. Some people are going to buy these and not use them. It's basically the idea. Versus if you go up to the window, you're going to buy it and use it. So I guess that's how they can make it so much cheaper. That actually seems like a good deal. If it is basically flexible and unrestricted, you can use it anywhere. That doesn't seem that bad. If we go to, so I want to look too, because I'm like, Vail's $299, Beaver Creek is $299 as well. Those are all always kind of the same. Breck $279, but their Epic one day is also $129. Even the Keystone peak window price $269 at Keystone. That's the cheap one. So moral of the Epic one day, $98 at Keystone. Moral of the story: if you're going for a day, get it in advance. Get this Epic one day thing. Get your little save 20% on food, lodging, lessons. Sure, whatever, get that. But know that you're going. Get it in advance. And I want to learn more, because I wonder how far in advance you have to get these. 1 to 7 days to visit through the season. So up to 7 days, that's actually pretty good. It doesn't say. No reservations are required, except for Telluride. Anyway, I don't know. Dats, you got a question. I was wondering if there's any way I can shoot you a text and pay you for your time. Yes, you don't even have to pay me for my time. You can just shoot me a text and we'll talk about whatever you'd like to discuss. That's the whole deal here. And for anybody joining, if you have questions at all, just put them in the chat. We're talking about, there's a ski resort for sale for $7 million, which we went on the beginning of this. We went through, and now we're just talking about the ski season coming up and some changes that Vail Resorts is doing. If you have questions on that or really anything else, just pop them in the chat. That's what eventually I want this to turn into, is some topic going on and then some Q&A. That's really the reason to do it live. That is just kind of fun and different and way to use the time on YouTube here. So the last thing, okay, so if we're looking at the actual Epic Pass, the actual season pass is here. Yeah, $969 for the full Epic Pass, so almost $1,000 to get unrestricted access everywhere. $719 for the Epic Local. Yeah, it said 6 something on that article, but that was not correct. Or an Epic 4-day for $400, which is kind of I mean, for me, that's probably, unfortunately, with what I got going on in life, that's about as much as I can get up anyway. So that's not the worst deal, in my opinion. And like I said, the Vail Resorts is everywhere. So here's all the mountains that you can access. I'll make that actually a little bigger, but it's like, you got Vail, Beaver Creek, Breck, Keystone, Crested Butte, Park City, but then all the California mountains, Washington, but then also California. Heavenly, by the way, if you haven't been to Heavenly, is a great time. One of my favorite snowboarding days ever was there. Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, you got Minnesota, Michigan. I said Minnesota like a true Minnesota. That's where I'm from. So that really came out. Switzerland, Australia. I got to give that a try. And then what I was wondering too, which I haven't pulled up yet, is the Icon Pass to see what the comparable prices are for Icon this year. So here's Epic, going back to what those are costing. $969 for the full one, $719 for limited, basically $100 a day. Icon, where's our passes? Give it to me. Don't be stingy, Icon. Sure, shop. Icon passes. Let's go. $1,309. Woof. And that's another reason that, in addition to everything else, that I've just never moved over, is because it's always significantly more expensive. And it's the same type of thing, basically. Steamboat is a great mountain, though. And then if you go to their, let's see if we can just view all the prices here. If you go to their version of the Epic Local, these are children's passes. If we're going to our Epic Local here, which is the base pass, what's that going to tell us? Oh, that's an upgrade for $220 to go to Jackson Hole and Winter Park and Eldora. Well, that's nice. Okay, it's a little more expensive there. So that's that. There was one more. I'm in a very rare situation. Older siblings home. I'm only 19, but parents decide they might as well secure one for me as well. Let's go. Sounds good. Yeah, shoot me a text. Let's chat about that, and we'll get it figured out for you, my friend. There was one more news article on this that I wanted to look at here, and that is a housing project in Vail. So we are now spanning over into the real estate world as well. So the judge ruling against a ski giant, Vail Resorts, worker housing project in Vail. So what was going on here? Vail's government can condemn land to stop a Vail Resorts worker housing development in bighorn sheep habitat, despite inappropriate town tactics to halt the project. Well, I like this. I don't like this, obviously, but this, I mean, that first paragraph right there, that is so much local mountain business packed into one long sentence. So there's a Vail Resorts worker housing development. The Vail government can condemn the land because it's on bighorn sheep habitat, despite inappropriate town tactics to halt the project that the town tried to take, which I wonder what those were. But that is what the judge has ruled. So Vail, the Eagle County town of Vail, is going to condemn and take possession of Vail Resorts property. So they're going to pay him $12 million, but stop the company from attempting to build a housing for workers as part of $12 million for 23 acres. Thank you, Vail. Which is interesting because housing for ski resort workers has kind of been a thing, like a challenge for a long time, because these are hourly employees. And when you're living in places like Vail, Avon, Aspen, it's tough. So they're living that ski bum lifestyle, but I don't know. It's tough to afford housing. It's tough to afford housing for a lot of people these days because we're having an affordability issue even here in Denver. So, Vail, it pitted Vail Resorts against the ski town's government. This is like our version of Disney versus the Florida governor, I feel like. And so it's an interesting situation. So, the properties in East Vail, and it's basically in bighorn sheep habitat. So the town is not letting them build on that. Oh yeah. Anyway, the article goes on. So the housing for ski workers it's been kind of an issue for a long time. Doesn't look like it's going to get easier, at least in that particular place. But The main thing, guys, to point out is that there is a ski resort for sale for $7 million, 373 acres, can be yours for cash or financing. And yeah, Dad, send me a message. I appreciate that. Yes. Yeah, we can get that figured out. Anybody else, feel free to weigh in on anything you got. And if you want to buy the ski resort, let me know. Again, like I said, I don't have that kind of money liquid, but it will be interesting to see what happens with this property, because I think the industry could certainly support more ski resorts, or even if they're just not resorts, even if they're more Lovelandy ski hills rather than resorts. I don't know about you guys, but for me, sometimes that's a nice change of pace to just, not have the whole to do and the parking and the gondola and the Disney World and all that stuff, and just to have skiing, just to be able to park and walk and buy a lift ticket and have it not be ridiculous. And yeah, I think that would be a benefit to have more of those. There aren't enough of them around, and this could be an opportunity for it, but we will see what happens. I'll keep you guys posted. If anything, I'll weigh in on another live or on a video or on a short or something, if anything happens with this, if it goes under contract. But otherwise, thank you, gang, for hopping on, and we will do more of these, and I will keep upgrading the setup here, because that sort of stuff makes me happy. So another video coming out this Thursday, Low High Neighborhood Tour. Tune in for that. Tune in. No one tunes anything anymore. Hop on for that. When you think about it, Brendan says we have very few resorts in Colorado for how much land there could be developed. I agree. And that's another reason that I was surprised that this is, it feels crazy to say only $7 million. But I think it's just the lack of buildability on most of the land. I mean, the majority of those acres are not going to be very buildable. So it's kind of like ski resort or alpine slides or nothing. It has to get easier over time to develop resorts. Wouldn't settle for an old one. Yeah, no, and that's fair too, because a lot of what's going on, a lot of this old stuff, like these old, okay, get out of there. These old lifts are just, like I said, kind of up top, are just going to be a nuisance. You're not going to use them. Like it's not current technology anymore. So you're just going to have to take them down. But I don't know. I don't know how much land there is. Well, there's certainly not available, or that even could come available, that has the characteristics of a ski resort. I mean, it's the Rocky Mountains, it's the Rockies. So there's a fair amount that could technically be, but how much of it has these big chunks that are privately owned, that are willing to sell, and would be an opportunity for a ski resort or something like that. Like, because 373 acres as a ski resort is not, it's not that much. It's not that big. I mean, what's Vail? Like a million, I feel like. 100,000. I can't remember. Some crazy number. One of those two. But anyway, thanks for logging on. We will keep these going. This is the first of the next one. So we'll see how it goes. And Low High Neighborhood Tour. Let me know what you want to see too, as far as the channel. I've been starting to post those little polls or just little updates. YouTube has that feature now. But let me know what videos you guys want to see, because I know a lot of you guys, some people come for the neighborhood tours, some people come for the home tours, a lot of people come for like local knowledge. But chime in, comments, text me, email me, whatever. My information's all over the place. So Brandon, killer stream, man. Well, hey, killer of you to hop on. So I will be seeing you guys shortly. Later.